So, Nigel Farage, gargling and rinsing his tonsils, I presume, as we speak, for his keynote speech later on this morning on stopping the boats. Mass arrests, swift deportation of migrants, internment camps, basically zero tolerance. I mean, whatever you might think of it, it's going to play to the gallery, isn't it?
It will play really well. This is a situation which it looks to me like Labour has totally lost control of. One in, one out, whatever that policy was a few weeks ago, doesn't appear to have made any difference. They're still pouring in their hundreds every day. And if we have to come out of various boring international treaties like the European Convention on Human, so be it. Because what's happening at the moment, even when they try and deport these people who've come here, remember, illegally, the human rights lawyers get hold of it and it gets tied up in legal knots, and every appeal takes 53 weeks. That's a year. And we know that some of the times it's mainly young men who are coming in and they say, I'm gay, or whatever it is, so I can't go back to whatever country they're from. And the whole system is now in total chaos. Worse, I'd say, than when the Tories were in power.
Jonathan,
and they didn't do very well with it.
You know, there's no doubt sort of action is needed, the system needs to be changed. As Andrew points out, you know, there will be people who are going, great, this is actually going to make a difference in a way that hasn't been made before. Are these plans workable? Are they realistic?
Well, look, Nigel Farage has done brilliantly getting great headlines. And as you say, there'll be a lot of people out there thinking, yeah, this is what we want. But Nigel Farage is now auditioning to be the Prime Minister of this country. Therefore, he needs to be able to answer the detailed questions on whether this set of proposal adds up. So, for example, last year we took around 30,000 women and girls as asylum seekers. If he's saying everyone is going to be deported, is he including women and girls? Is he really saying that women and girls...
He's saying all illegal migrants.
Is he really saying that women and girls are going to be deported, say, back to Sudan, where there's a civil war and rape is being used as a weapon of war in that country? Is he really saying...
Yes, well, he is saying that. In the interview with The Times, which precedes the speech that he's making in a couple of hours' time, he was asked basically that question. Well, what about sending people back to countries where torture and summary execution is rampant? And he basically said, in his answer, I don't care.
So Reform are saying women and girls can be sent back...
people in this country, and I don't care what happens to illegal migrants when they get back.
So girls could be sent to a country where they could be raped because there's a civil war going on.
That was his answer. He's saying, that's not my problem.
And I think his point would also be, he's not here, his point would be these girls and women from Sudan are actually coming to Britain from France, which is a safe country. But it's a safe country. So why, if they're in such fear and terror, why are they then? Why is Mum putting a little girl on a ship, a dinghy across the Thames when she could stay in France?
But do you not think that when illegal immigrants, such as the people you just described, women and children, are sent back to the countries of origin and are tortured and executed there, when that news filters back here, do you not think that would affect the public mood?
Well, I don't... God, it's a long way to get them back there in the first place.
Yeah.
Well,
the whole thing's hypothetical at the moment, so we have to talk in hypothesis.
And look, this country's had a long history of being generous to genuine asylum seekers. Genuine asylum seekers. I don't think anybody in this country thinks the thousands that are crossing the Channel at the moment are genuine asylum seekers. They're predominantly young men in their 30s, and they're coming here as their economic migrants.
What about Jonathan's point that you made yesterday, and it was picked up by quite a lot of viewers, when you said that, OK, let's say that Farage does open a series of internment camps, you know, ex-RAF bases, which are disused now. Well, what about the people who live near those camps? They're not going to be that happy, are they?
Yeah. So Robert Jenrick, the Tories tried to put people in the RAF base up in Lincolnshire. There's a base that was famous for the dam busters, and I think the Red Arrows were based there. Look, the people in Lincolnshire came out and were really, really opposed to this. They said they didn't want this camp here, or this old RAF base to be used for asylum seekers. Now, he's talking about, we'll build these big detention centres. So, again, does that mean people stay in the hotels while the detention centres are being built? Or does it mean the hotels are closed? Well, he's already saying it's going to take 18 months, 2 years or so for the detention centres to be built. So what happens to them in that period? And where are these detention centres going to be? Are they going to be in Clacton? Are they going to be in Boston and Skegness? Are they going to be in Ashfield in Nottinghamshire? He needs to start answering these types of questions. Because when I used to come on your programme as a shadow minister, auditioning to be an actual minister, I mean, that didn't work out too well, but that's a different story. You quite rightly put to me these sorts of detailed questions. And he's going to have to answer those questions today.
Well, we are going to be interviewing live in about an hour and a half's time Zia Youssef, who, of course, used to be the chair of Reform, is now still a very, very senior figure in the party. And obviously all those questions we will throw to him. I guess another one is how easy is it actually to come out of the European Court of Human Rights? I mean, it's a very airy thing to say, but isn't it going to be quite complicated?
Well,
legally?
I think you can come out of bits of it. I think that's the easiest thing. You can come out of bits of it.
How does that work?
What they want us to stop saying is that these migrants can go and talk about their right to family life under the European Court of Human Rights. We can stay here, right to family life. It's being abused. It's being consistently abused. It's being abused by human rights lawyers. They're taking the mick, frankly, in their legal aid, with legal aid, by the way, at our expense. And I think he's got to get to grips with these treaties, because when we joined these treaties back in the late 40s after the Second World War, it was a different time. It was all about ensuring peace in Europe. It's not. We've moved on from that now. And some people say, oh, well, we'll be along with Belarus and Turkey about the only countries that aren't parties. So what? They don't have this huge migrant problem we've got. They've got to get a grip of it. But I think it'll be a real problem for Keir Starmer, the human rights lawyer, because he likes all these treaties.
Well, but there are reasons why we have the ECHR, the European Court of Human Rights, aren't there? Consequences for British citizens potentially of coming out about the Northern Ireland peace settlement, for example.
That's where you can come out of bits of it.
But,
you can come out of bits of it, apparently.
Oh, so that would be the compromise, then, to come out of bits of it and not others?
Yeah, because Northern Ireland have to be separate.
So there's talk of suspending certain clauses of it. Yvette Cooper is looking at this as well, elements of it. That's in the newspapers today, and we expect Yvette Cooper to be saying something presumably next week when Parliament returns. It's pretty clear that this act is being abused. I mean, there was a story, wasn't there, a few months ago
Tell Keir Starmer
about a family using their son's liking chicken nuggets as the reason why they had to stay, because they won't be able to get chicken McNuggets back to, it's clear that's clearly making a mockery of it. But can you actually get these reforms in place while also at the same time not undermining things like the Good Friday Agreement?
He's also talking about Rwanda. I mean, Rwanda's back, so that was a Tory plan. The first thing this lot did was cancel the Rwanda plan, even though I think we were probably quite close to getting some planes in the air.
What intrigues me is actually how few people have noticed that what Farage said in the interview with The Times and what he's going to be saying this morning represents a U-turn that our current Prime Minister would be quite proud of. Here's a clip of Farage talking about mass deportation just under 1 year ago, September last year. 11 months later, he's saying, try stopping me.
And that's what he wants to do.
Hopefully we won't get to numbers of hundreds of thousands, because at the moment it's only going to be 40, 50,000. I think he's seen how bad it's got. It's completely out of control at the moment, and I think it's becoming a major political issue for families up and down the country. It is creating communities where people feel...
Doesn't that worry you? You've got the leader of the party who's about to make a speech calling for the very thing that he said is politically impossible. Doesn't it worry? Doesn't it actually underline the accusation that he is playing to the gallery?
No, I think he's come to the conclusion that it's the only answer.
Well, I mean, this is a real worry, though, isn't it, for Labour? Because if you look at the polls on what people are saying, 71% believe the Prime Minister is handling the asylum hotel issue badly, and that includes 56% of Labour voters. And we've got this other poll, haven't we, that's saying nearly a third of voters said Reform is best placed to be able to handle the small boat issue. This is where people are turning to for answers on immigration, isn't it?
I mean, look, this is absolutely critical for Labour. They've got to show they are making progress on this issue. If they cannot show that they are turning this around, that they've got in place a set of policies which is returning people to their countries who are not supposed to be here, and is processing these applications, and is getting people out of these hotels and closing down these hotels...
They'll lose the next election.
It will, yeah.
So it all rests on this one in, one out working in sufficient numbers, because...
I mean, what Labour's got to do is it's got to put in place workable solutions. I don't think Nigel Farage's plans are workable. I think they're about grabbing headlines, and given that's what he's all about, he's done well on that. But they're not workable.
Well,
Labour's got to turn this around, though.
The headline this morning, as far as Labour's contribution to this is concerned, is that they have now detained 100 illegal immigrants, and they're primed and ready for deportation.
Oh, hippie.
Well, that's the problem. It's the figure, isn't it?
I mean, how many have come in that time? It's not one in, one out. It's one out, thousands in, and that's what's happening. That's what's turning a mockery into this. And although they've detained 100, Richard, how quickly are they going to get them out? Because there'll be human rights lawyers crawling all over it.
I mean,
so, Jonathan,
that's the issue. That bit of it has really got to be sorted out. The bureaucracy around these applications, and when someone's application is denied, it then goes to appeal, and it's bogged down in the
very lengthy process.
53 weeks. That's a year. It's a joke. It's ridiculous.
And that's why we have all the problems with accommodation in the meantime, and the big questions about where we house people.
And billions of pounds in hotel bills, problems with community cohesion.
Yeah. Well, as I say, we'll be talking to Zia Youssef of Reform UK at 7:45, and we'll be putting all those questions to Zia. Who did I say here? Zia Youssef, sorry. A bit early in the morning for proper pronunciation. Let's talk about another interview we're doing today with a senior police officer who is endorsing calls made by other officers that the public should be getting involved in stopping thefts from stores, should be stopping shoplifters. And we want to know exactly what he means by that. But a lot of people have already contacted us ahead of this interview and saying, well, I know what would happen to me if I actually intervened and
You'd be arrested.
I'll be arrested for assault.
You'll be arrested. That's the problem. The law's gone the other way. And I talked to the security guard who's gone into the little M&S near where I live, and I said, are you allowed to physically prevent a shoplifter from leaving the store? And he said, I'm not.
I had exactly the same conversation with a store security guard in a suit. Exactly the same.
He said, I'm just here as a deterrent.
Well, yeah.
But I said, but it's not a deterrent if they know you can't physically intervene.
We've got a comment here. Claire's got in touch on Facebook. I work in retail. We're advised not to try to stop them for our own safety. All shoplifters are on camera and are reported, but sadly hardly any are charged with offence, which is frustrating for us. And that's the thing. It seems like it's that whole legal process that actually, even when people are arrested, they just come out and are able to do it all over again.
I mean, it's a joke. People aren't charged. Sometimes the police won't even turn up. When I was an MP, I used to go around some of the local, in this case, the local smaller co-op stores. I remember going into one. They were telling me that vans would turn up, a gang would just walk in, take all the bottles of drink off the shelves, they just get all the cigarettes, get all the stuff which they can then go and sell on the black market. You bring the police, and it's like they just advise, just stand back, let them get on with it. It's a nonsense. Richard Walker, who runs Iceland Supermarkets, is a mate of mine. He tells me, because of data protection, he's not allowed to share the photos of known shoplifters around his store.
It's outrageous.
I mean, it's mad.
It's outrageous.
And they're actually incentivising people, aren't they, to report shoplifters? And I think they will kind of credit them on their loyalty cards as a thank you for doing that. I mean, so what needs to change in that case to be able to get a grip of this? You know, is it the policing? Is it the courts?
Yeah, the police... Shoplifters need to think, if they get caught, the long arm of the law is going to grab them and they could get a record. But at the moment, they know they're not going to get one. Isn't there an arbitrary limit of 250 quid or something if you nick under that amount? And people think it's OK to shoplift, because I hear sometimes people say, oh, well, it's Tesco's, oh, it's Asda, they can afford it. It puts the price up for everybody when people nick this stuff.
Oh, the police officer that we'll be talking to you later on makes that very point. He said there isn't actually any difference in somebody going into Marks and Spencer's or Waitrose or whatever and lifting stuff and going into your house and opening a cupboard in your house and taking stuff out. It's exactly the same criminal thing. But I am intrigued, and we will be talking about this, to know what the rights of the individual are in apprehending a thief, including, say, a burglar in your own home. What are you actually allowed... What is reasonable force? And I was telling you, Charlotte, that a couple of weeks ago I was in my local Boots on a Sunday, which seems to be a very heavy day for thieving from Boots around my way. And there was a guy just scooping stuff into a bag, and the staff was shouting at him to get out, not trying to stop him or threatening to call the police, but just shouting at him to get out. And it did cross my mind, because I had my arm in a splint. I'm still recovering from a broken wrist. There wasn't much I could do, but it did cross my mind to kick his legs out from under him. And then I thought immediately, oh, well, what if I break his ankle? What if he hits his head on the shelf? I'm going to be the one in a cell.
So there are risks involved in encouraging people to do this, aren't there? To intervene or to try and
when we were growing up and we might have been public-spirited, we won't have assumed that the shoplifter, they might have a knife. That's what's changed as well in the last few years. People carry knives routinely.
Well, we're going to, again, in this interview, alongside the senior police officer, we're going to have a woman who's now in her early 40s, but who in her 20s and 30s was known as Birmingham's
most prolific
shoplifter. And she will be saying, and she's now a completely reformed character, and she helps the police and gives them advice. What she will be saying is, don't try and intervene. They do carry knives.
There we are.
So when I was stealing, she said, I used to carry needles. And, you know, basically would have threatened people with a needle.
Yeah.
Because she always had them, because she was stealing to fund her drug addiction. So, I mean, quite apart from the risk of being prosecuted for assault and bodily harm, you run the risk of actually being harmed yourself.
Absolutely. And a lot of the people who work in shops, who work in retail, whether it's the security guards or people behind the counter, do fear for their own safety.
Yeah,
yes.
And they've been assaulted and they've been threatened.
Yep.
You know, and we've got to think about those people as well in this.
Listen, we must talk about the situation in Gaza, because there's been this attack on a hospital. There's been global condemnation because of this. It's the main hospital in southern Gaza. The hospital was hit twice, so it was hit once, and then as rescuers and journalists rushed to help the wounded, it was hit a further time. 20 people were killed, including 5 journalists. Now, Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister's office, have said they deeply regret it. They've called it a tragic mishap. There is now an inquiry into this, but this is sort of another shocking incident that we're seeing happening here.
It is, and you sort of, you know, running out of words, really, to describe what's happening in Gaza. I mean, I've been coming on programmes for, you know, it's been going on for nearly 2 years now, hasn't it? It's October the 7th, and it's saying we need a ceasefire, saying this is absolutely devastating, condemning the actions of some of these, you know, these Israeli ministers who want to talk about erasing Palestine. I mean, the world has got to do what it can to bring about peace. We need the unconditional release of hostages, of course we do, but we've got to bring peace to this part of the world. I mean, the loss of life is just horrific, and to be hitting a hospital, it's utterly, utterly appalling.
It is
despicable.
indeed. We have got some footage, but just to say, we should warn you, the following images you're about to see are distressing, but we think it's important that you see them nonetheless. So let's take a look here.
Israel has, of course, admitted that it was a grave error and apologised for it, haven't they?
Yeah, doesn't bring them back, does it? And the damage it's done to the hospital too, which is in the thick of this humanitarian crisis.
They also say that it is not their policy to target journalists. However, journalist organisations have come back and said that dozens and dozens and dozens of journalists...
I think nearly 200 now, Richard, in this conflict. It's close to 200 have died.
So the Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, has written about this on X and said, horrified by Israel's attack on Nasser Hospital, civilians, healthcare workers and journalists must be protected. We need an immediate ceasefire. So he's among those calling for that immediate ceasefire, which so far still seems a way off, doesn't it?
No, it does. I mean, when I was on last week, I think there were suggestions that there were ceasefire negotiations going on, and we hope there'll be a ceasefire. But my word, when are we going to see an end to this horrendous conflict and this loss of life?
Back home, simple question, has Angela Rayner done anything wrong?
No, of course not.
She's bought herself a second home down near Brighton, Hove, very nice area. She's got a place back up this end, and of course she has a grace and favour property provided with her job. So that gives her 3 roofs that she can sleep under, but 2 of which...
Very nice too.
Pardon?
Very nice too.
Well, good for her.
Has she done anything wrong?
No.
This government demonises people who have second homes, demonises them, and it's attacking people who have second homes through the council taxes. We have to pay a lot more council tax. We've got comments from the housing secretary, who happens to be Angela Rayner, talking about how people who own second homes have contributed to the housing shortage. They drive up property prices, which makes it more expensive for local people to get on the property ladder. 5-star hypocrisy.
Oh,
that's what she's guilty of.
I think
5-star hypocrisy.
When the message is to people to put them off having second homes, and then...
And Keir Starmer said the same.
Angela Rayner...
She gets one.
...is a superstar. She is a class act. And if she wants to buy a holiday home by the seaside, good on her, I say. I think it's nonsense that the way Andrew's getting so aerated
just
about
hypocrisy.
But
I'm
is it
just
fair
used
to
to it with your
penalise
lot.
other people who do the same thing, then?
Sorry?
Is it fair to penalise other people who want to do the same thing, though?
But they're not. I mean, look, people pay their extra council tax. She'll pay her extra council tax on this home. She's paying her way fairly.
He's got a point, though, hasn't he? It is a bit of a dichotomy to lecture the country on the evil of having a second home.
She's not lecturing.
It's denying local people the right to buy their own property, and then you buy one for yourself. I mean, I said she's done nothing wrong, technically or legally, but it is.
But she's
a
also
clash, isn't it?
She's also delivering and building new homes so young people can get on the housing ladder as well.
But we'll
It'd be
see
hypocritical if she wasn't building homes for people.
We'll see if she gets that record. Look, there's quotes all over the place.
She's such a superstar.
There's quotes all over the place from the Prime Minister and the Housing Secretary saying why second homes, they want to discourage it financially because it's driving out local people from the market. But it's all right for our Ange, isn't it? All right. And also, funny old place to buy it. Her constituency in the north of England. Has she got a nice seaside home in the north of England? No, Hove, near Brighton. Couldn't be further away.
Far from London.
And let's not forget her fantastic Grace and Favour place in central London. What did Prescott have? 2 Jags. She's got 3 pads.
This is just... this is just a male
well,
being
maybe
snooty about...
3 pads and...
This is just a male being snooty about a working-class woman who's done well. That's all it is.
I'm not being snooty. I'm just pointing out she's a 5-star hypocrite.
If the pressure gets too much for her, they can always kick her upstairs to the Lords. But if they did, she would have to turn up, because something else Labour is doing now is threatening to sack members of the House of Lords who don't show up for work, basically, who simply take the money and put the feet up.
A lot of that goes on. Yeah,
it does. I mean, it's completely bloated. There's more Lords than MPs, and lots of them don't turn up. Lots of them have been there because they were appointed there, 30, 40 years ago. It's a bit of a job for life. I mean, there is a role for the Lords in scrutinising legislation and making a contribution, but you have to turn up and be involved. So I think Andrew should go to the Lords.
So you both support that, then?
I think this is the right way forward.
And they're also talking about perhaps a minimum age for retirement, but I think there's 830 members of the House of Lords, 650 MPs.
Yeah, they're proposing that Lords are forced to retire at 80.
Well, quite a few of them have just gone in at 80.
Oh, that's quite young.
Margaret Hodge has gone in at 80.
Yeah, I wouldn't myself force people, because I think people can still make a contribution at that age. But you do have to turn up and to be seen to be speaking in the debates and serving on the committees. There's lots of them who just turn up. If they do turn up, are just going there for their lunch.
It's funny how they get their own tenants allowance, don't forget. What is it, 370 quid
Something
now?
like that,
So there are perks to it, and that's why some people have it without necessarily doing the full role.
Then you get your money. It's funny, the older you get, the more something like a suggestion that you retire forcibly at 80 seems preposterous. I mean, I'll be 80 in 11 years. and I cannot see myself.
You'll still be going strong.
You'll still be going strong, you will. Well, listen, talking about age, it's on the front page of The Eye today. Flexible hours for menopausal women could keep them in work and boost the economy by $1.5 billion. It says firms will be encouraged to offer initiatives such as flexible hours, working from home, as part of menopause action plans to keep women in work. Jonathan, it's a good idea?
Yeah, it is a good idea. I think people should be offered flexible working arrangements to help you stay in work when it's related to whatever health condition you might have. I mean, one of the problems we've got in this country is that loads of people have left work and have gone on to various types of sickness benefits, yet they said they would stay in work if their employer offered them a sort of job where, it understood the conditions that they have. So I think this is a good idea, and I think we want to keep people in work. These will be experienced people, by the way, women of that age. You do want to keep them in the workplace, absolutely.
Yeah, seems sensible to me.
If we can't stop the boats, you think we might be able to fill in the potholes? Can't do that either.
Another Labour broken promise. Another Labour broken promise.
The RAC say that pothole-related breakdowns, i.e. you've driven into one and smashed up your suspension or broken your tyres, hit an unseasonable high in the second quarter of this year, with RAC patrols attending 9% more than they did in April to June. 6,578 call-outs for damaged shock absorbers, broken suspension springs, distorted wheels. Have you ever driven into a pothole?
Very bad, very dangerous.
I've done it twice, and it is so infuriating.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And then you have a big problem trying to sue your council to get the compensation.
I didn't even bother.
No, because it's so hard to do. But it's such a bugbear for people, isn't it? And to look around the country and see the state of the roads as well, it is an embarrassment.
And if you hit a pothole on your bike, that could be really serious.
I think what Labour inherited was more potholes on British roads than craters on the moon. So look, they've got to get on with this. It makes people furious, as you're saying, and it's one of those things that sometimes in politics, politicians who are a bit out of touch can be a bit sort of dismissive of it, not understanding how this impacts people every day of the week on every road across the country. So, again, government have got to get on with this.
Do you want to finish with a little guessing game? You're like, I love this stuff. This is my favourite poll of the year so far. This is a poll of 1,000 children aged 6 to 10, just little uns, as well as their parents, just to endorse what they said. And the question was, what would you do if you were the king or the queen of this country for one day? What law would you pass? OK? And we've got a top 10 of what the kids would do. What do you think was at number 1? What would you do? If you just think yourself back to being a little totty tiny, what would you do?
Eat sweets every day or something?
Pardon?
Eat sweets whenever you want.
Close, but no cigar.
I mean, that's number 2. Free sweets for everyone, yeah.
Free sweets for everyone is number 2.
Trip to the seaside. Trip to the seaside.
No, give everyone free toys. That's number 1.
Which is a lovely idea, isn't it?
Good guess, Jonathan. Free sweets for everyone.
Number 2.
Number 3 is to do with meal times. That's a little hint.
They probably want fizzy drinks with every one of them.
No, sort of no vegetables or something.
No, eat ice cream every day for breakfast. Isn't this great?
Lovely.
Number 4 is to do with food as well.
No greens.
No. Or it might be, but it's not.
Beef burger.
No, it's let kids choose what's for dinner every night.
Yeah, but that's going to cause a problem.
And apparently...
Daughter would love number 5.
She would, yeah. 34% would ban homework altogether. I'm not sure how well that would go down with teachers, would it?
Well, I totally endorse that. I think homework is an aberration. I don't think that children should be... I think school is school. I always thought this when I was... Yeah, I do.
Even at secondary school?
Even at secondary school. I don't think that it should intrude into home life, personally. I know I'm wrong. I understand the argument against me is overwhelming, but I just feel it instinctively and I felt it as a kid, that home was home and it wasn't for work.
Well, I've always thought secondary school is right for homework, and actually my youngest starts secondary school tomorrow in Leicester, because in Leicester the schools go back tomorrow.
OK.
So every parent in Leicester will be having a stressful evening
tonight.
Getting out
school uniforms,
celebrating tomorrow.
Trying to find everything again.
Exactly, but I always thought that the homework that they got at primary school, I used to think that was over the top.
You shouldn't have it at primary school.
I thought that was too much.
Yeah, so my daughter has quite a lot, and it is sometimes quite intricate, like making a volcano model or something, which...
that sounds quite fun.
Well, yeah, I know, but, you know, you're kind of trying to help them along the way with that. It's sometimes in a busy household.
Quadratic equations at 6:30.
And you're totally daunting. I couldn't make a volcano.
All right, do you want to hear the last 5, then? Number 6 was make cartoons play all day on all channels on TV. 7, wear fancy dress every day. Number 8 was make every Friday party day. Number 9, fill swimming pools with bubble bath. And number 10, turn all schools into theme parks.
Can you imagine? What a world we would live in if 10-year-olds were in charge. What a thought.
Put them in charge of the country.
Yeah, we will see you later. Thanks very much.